All right, all right. Let's see who else we have to get on here. Hello, hello. Okay, I have to invite some people. And Sean. Uh oh. Hold up. Uh
Oh,
oh. I hear somebody talking. Uh oh. Uh oh. What's up, y'all?
what's going on?
What's
Hey,
up? What's up?
What's happening?
Happy Sunday. How's everybody doing?
great. How
Good,
about
good,
you?
good.
I am doing good. I'm doing real good. It's good to see you guys.
Same here.
Yes,
Oh
sir.
man. Let me see. How y'all feel about the camera angles? Everything good? Y'all comfortable?
Yes.
I'm good.
Awesome.
I'm good.
It's all about you today, Sean, Mr. Ovation.
Oh, hey, it's all about all of us. How you
Yes,
doing,
sir.
Pam?
I'm doing great. Thanks. I'm excited.
Yes, yes. We were coming off of a great interview yesterday, and you did such a great job, and you and
Oh,
Glenn
thank
had
you. Thank you very much.
such a great conversation, and so hey, we got some good momentum going.
Yes, sir. We got people writing in the comments. They saying, Pastor Sean, you gonna drop a message today? They starting already, Sean. They starting already.
Oh man. Oh man. Well, hey, yesterday was a moment. I was feeling like someone had to hear that message, and
Yes.
Yeah.
and so hey, but today is Sunday, so I might have a few other things, to preach about today.
Yo, they ready. Yo, hey Sean, literally
They
my
are
wife
ready.
heard you, right? My wife heard you. She was like, yo, is that the guy you interviewing tomorrow? I was like, that's him. She was like, yo, I'm starting to get pumped up. I need to get my stuff going. I was like, yo.
Hey, well, listen, Taliaferro, man, I appreciate you just inviting, man, and creating this platform. It's much needed. I know, we've been at this fragrance game for a minute, man. So we got a lot
Yes.
of insight, a lot of good things to share with people. So I just appreciate you just creating this platform and giving me an opportunity, man.
Absolutely. And not to uh not speak on Pam, one of my all-star, like, this family right here.
Aw.
Yeah, you have to share the story of how we met, how we connected online.
Oh, well, there is this gentleman, another, I want to say influencer. He's from Chicago. His name is Chai Sense
Yeah.
773.
Yeah.
And we did a live, and he was talking about Taliaferro's fragrances. And so I reached out and I purchased a couple of them, and I was like, holy moly, this is some good stuff.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I was just taken aback because it's not like you don't, if it wasn't for other influencers, smaller influencers, I would have known absolutely nothing about these brands, about this Taliaferro. And I love his stuff. I absolutely love his stuff. And I did a live. I bought the stuff and I did the live. And my followers, I don't have a lot of followers, but they went by and everybody started talking about it, and that's how it started.
Good
Oh man.
stuff. Good stuff.
And it's
Good
been
stuff.
real. It's been real. The love is real, Sean. The love is
Okay.
real. Pam has been very encouraging, very supportive, and I'm just very thankful to have as a part of this community that we have of fragrance enthusiasts.
Yes.
Absolutely,
Awesome.
Yes.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen, I'm glad to be here, and hey, let's get it going, man.
Yes,
I
sir.
guess
Yes,
people want to,
sir.
they want to know what you got.
All right. So just to give you guys a little breakdown on what the Diary of a Perfumer is, really quick. Last interview we had was Mandy Aftel, who is a very well-known natural perfumer. And the whole goal of these interviews is to get into the world of fragrance so that people like yourself, Sean, and as well as reviewers such as Pam kind of find an opportunity to connect and
Mhm.
learn more about each other, and also kind of go behind the scenes into the world of perfumery.
Mhm.
Yeah.
As we all know, the, the perfume industry tends to be very secretive.
Hmm.
So we are always about removing that veil and kind of connecting people such as who we are here, these types of wonderful folk, and just taking things to the next level in the community and also with our products. So
Right.
this is what this series is about.
Got it.
So the star of the show today is Sean, and I'm so thankful to have you. So tell us, like, who is Shawn Crenshaw? Like,
Wow. Yeah, yeah. Listen, I discovered a new term that I'm going to use to describe myself moving forward. I am a multi-hyphenate, meaning I can do multi things. I'm interested in multi things, different things. So I'm a multi-hyphenate. I have passions across the board, but I'm a small town kid from. I grew up outside of Detroit in a city called Inkster.
Okay.
And then I moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Graduated from high school in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Shout out to Brainerd High School in Chattanooga. And from Chattanooga, I went to Cornell University, majored in hotel restaurant management. So I spent a lot of my career in hotel restaurant management. I was a hospitality guy. I came up in operations, moved my way into HR over the years.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and so my most recent professional career took me into human resources, and so I was balancing my duties in HR and in building my brand over the past. This journey's been like 6 years now. We're really a little longer from idea to actually launching the product. But this idea has kind of been on my mind now for about 8 years. But I
Oh,
launched the
wow.
product about 6 years ago, and it's been a journey. But I'm a person that truly believes in the power of us. I believe in our ability to change the world. Um,
Yes.
and I'm very I'm very a big believer in nothing moves forward unless we move it forward.
there
Right.
we go.
And so I put a lot of responsibility on myself to take things that I have in my mind and really try to bring them forward and do it with the vigor and energy to push things forward, so that's me, man. And I also have a law degree from the University of Tennessee. Actually,
Mm,
I have an MBA JD from the University
mm.
of Tennessee. So I,
Oh, wow.
I took a,
Ovation, sir.
I
Ovation.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. But yeah, thank you.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate it. So that's who I am. That's who I am. But right now, my focus is on Ovation. My multi hyphenate journey has taken me now to Ovation, and Ovation is my focus and my passion and my love, and so that's who I am. That's who I am.
Oh, absolutely, man. So that's awesome. That is so awesome. So I know Pam has some things she wanted to ask you, and
I did. I did.
yeah.
It's funny how when you started talking about balancing, you know, what you're doing and how you're multifaceted. On one hand, you think that you're one person, you have to do, you have to give up your regular schmegular job, your career, your schooling, everything that you've done in order to create the artistry of creating perfume. And that was one of my questions. Did you have ever at any point feel like you had to give up one to pursue the other based on the fact of how much time it probably takes to run your business?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I have a short answer to that. Perfumery and building a brand is expensive. Dreams have to be financed. Don't let anyone fool you that dreams just magically appear and do no. Dreams
Right.
have to be financed, and so I have always put value in maintaining some stream of income while building the brand. So eventually, yes, the goal is to have the brand sustain all of my needs financially and do things. But right now, we're just not there. I, right now I'm actually on a consulting gig out in Washington State
Okay.
doing something. So this is a part of what it takes. I don't have a rich uncle or a big investment from some big investment firm. I'm bootstrapping, and I've been bootstrapping
Right.
it from day one, and it's a journey. It's a path, and I chose that path instead of kind of going out here and seeking kind of investment from big time investors. So I've had to maintain that income, and I think it's a balancing act, but
Yeah.
you got to prioritize what's important to you. And
Yeah.
for me, I knew that I couldn't push Ovation forward, at least for right now in the short term, without maintaining my income.
Yeah. Man. And trust me, I definitely understand that. Even as a designer myself, like you have to like really dedicate yourself to this craft, and you can't see it as just perfume. You have to see this literally as a business, because that's exactly what it is. So I can definitely relate to it. I can remember even starting out, I had the name of the company was Luxurious Life Sense, and I ended up changing the name because I'm like, that's not who I am anymore. You know, like that's a whole different conversation. But I had to like really see this as a business. It's not just a lifestyle. This really is a business.
Right.
So I can definitely relate to that. So
And
mentioning that.
Let me add one more thing though, but I do have a
yeah.
testimony. You know,
Yes,
during
sir.
COVID and things, you know, I was actually laid off from one of my positions, let go in the middle of COVID. And at the time, the only income I had was my brand, was Ovation. And I spent many, many nights, you know, up late trying to understand if I was going to be able to maintain, you know, without any income coming in. And I tell you what the beautiful thing was is that my brand sustained me, and God made a way. God made a way.
Right.
There were months where I didn't know where the bills were going to get paid. I didn't know how it was going to happen. And
Right.
I would wake up in the morning and look at my PayPal account, and orders were just coming in overnight from all over the country. And
Oh, your audio went out.
We lost you with the mic.
There you go. That's bad. Oh, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. We got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That the brand had the possibility of being able to sustain and build for me. So it was a godsend, because it built my confidence. It let me know that with more time, more effort, more dedication, more infrastructure, Ovation can definitely sustain, because it stepped in for me. God stepped in for me right when I needed it, and it was all through Ovation. And I appreciate everyone that supported me and bought, you know, and bought the brand. And it was so. Yes, you have to bring in that income, but I'm at a stage now where if it's God's will that, hey, I have to give up everything to focus on this full time, I think we're fully positioned to make it happen.
Absolutely. You know, and I honestly, I have to say this, like, I'm so inspired by you, and I am like so proud of you, man. Like, honestly, you were like one of the first Black perfume brands I saw out there. When I was this, like, I started back in like 2010, but I wasn't really online like that. So to see you out there and consistent and having such good imagery and a great product, like everything you've done has been like with excellence. So like I've just watched and I'm like, yo, yeah, I got to meet this guy, man. Like I already know if I meet this guy, it's over. So like the fact that we're having this conversation here and like you shared that testimony, like I'm just like so proud of you. And I just want to say this to people listening: we need to support brothers like this. Like this guy has a great brand, and what he's trying to communicate is to celebrate our Black men. Like I think what's name wrote in the comments, shout out to Mr. Cologne, every man deserves an ovation.
Yes.
And you deserve an ovation. So like, you know, God bless you. And I just wanted to share that really quick. So you mentioned that you are a pioneer in your family when it comes to fragrance. How has the family been in terms of supporting the brand and the business?
Oh man, my family has been very supportive, very supportive. I mean, you know, my mother, you know, from day one, she said, hey, what I know about you, son, is when you put your mind to something, you do it. You've been like that ever since you were a little boy. My family members back in Detroit and in Chattanooga, they have just been my biggest supporters, my biggest fans. When I've had those moments of darkness, those moments of insecurity, they have been the ones that have stepped into the space for me and just lit a candle and brighten things up for me. And so my family has been A1. I couldn't ask for a better support group. My sisters, you know, they post stuff all the time. They comment, you know, and so, yeah. And then my dad, rest in peace. He was kind of the inspiration somewhat behind the brand. You know, he was a fragrance guy, and he loved fragrances. And so, you know, he would always, it was a part of his style. It was a part of his swag. So when I was a little boy,
Nice.
you know, when I was a little boy, I would see all the attention he would get with, you know, and every compliment was, "Ooh, you smell so good. Ooh, you smell so good."
Nice.
You know, and I was just like, man, if a fragrance can bring on all that attention, Yeah, I think I need one of those when I grow up. I need one, and so
Wow.
so yeah. So I mean, a lot of it, the inspiration for the brand and it is from my family, and and I have uncles and cousins and folks who really been upright gentlemen, upright men in raising families and been fathers and been husbands and
Right.
been great brothers, and so I wanted to celebrate them. I wanted to celebrate them with a fragrance.
Wow.
That's very inspiring. Transitioning, that's a good segue for the next question that I have, because you were inspired by the men around you and the men that poured into you from a little boy all up until a grown man. And I think that men are looking up to you, men and women are looking up to you as an inspiration onto how to move forward next, to the next venture. Had you considered perhaps doing, like you mentioned COVID earlier, had you considered perhaps doing like a master class on like maybe a little bit of business, or what to look for when you're starting off as a perfumer, or maybe having like somebody under you, something to that effect?
Apprentice
You
or
know,
something.
yeah, that has been a topic of conversation recently. I tell you what's
Okay,
crazy. I
nice.
was just had a conversation with Mr. Cologne, and and thank you, Glenn, for passing that message on to me from your wife. They both were recommending that maybe I should think about something along those lines, a podcast or some type of master class. Yeah, and,
Yes.
and I've been thinking about it. One of the things on my list is to start elevating my, in addition to the fragrance brand, but also, my personal brand into that space.
Mhm.
And so I'm doing some due diligence, doing some investigation.
We lost you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Trying to figure out exactly how to do that. So yeah. So if there's anyone out there that has, knows the ins and outs of starting a
Uh-oh.
podcast, the ins and
Uh-oh.
outs of putting together a masterclass, hey, I'm all ears. I'm at a stage where I'm trying to learn how to do that and possibly put a program together.
Yes. I think I remember attending, not necessarily a master class, but I'm into makeup, and Pat McGrath held quite a few of them last year, in 2020 and 2021, I think it was. And so a lot of designers, and I saw it all across YouTube, they were having master classes. So I'm like, wait a minute, this would be perfect, especially for our younger generation of perfumers who are looking to you guys, who are the groundbreakers of this.
Absolutely.
There are not too many, he just passed away, the gentleman that passed away for Louis Vuitton, the first black designer for Louis Vuitton. And, you have the first black perfumer in Neiman Marcus, right? Just last
Right.
year.
Right.
And for you, I envision walking into Ulta and picking up your perfume off the shelf, or Sephora and picking up your fragrance off the shelf, just like any other small black female beauty company or something to that effect. In my head, that's the vision that I can see moving forward. In addition to, because I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at the movie online. If you go to YouTube, you could pull up the movie where it shows it's like a little short. And when I was looking at it, believe you me, all I was thinking about is, ooh, he could sell ties and shirts and suits. The
Uh-huh.
whole package that was
Right.
presented, so the brand, as you say.
Yeah.
So I
No.
think that would be pretty cool.
No, without a doubt. I think I think we're getting to that point where black or black-owned brands in the beauty, fragrance, personal care space, we're really picking up some momentum, some strong
Yeah,
momentum. A lot of critical mass that's happening right now. And I think we're at the cusp of really breaking through and seeing it, seeing
absolutely.
seeing our brands kind of on the shelves right next to some of the bigger brands that we're used to seeing.
Yes.
And so it's coming. It's coming. One of my biggest things I'll say to this is that I think it's time too for us to start to really think about bringing our voices together and starting an organization that represents us and really start. Being included in conversations that are happening with some of these major fragrance players and distributors
Yeah.
and retailers, because there's some great brands out here doing some good stuff. Great
Mm-hmm.
brands out here have some high quality products, and
Yes.
we need the capital. We need the
Yes.
capital. We need the investment. I am sick and tired of toiling in the industry that's a multi-billion-dollar
Yes.
industry. I'm tired of
Yes.
toiling in the industry, trying to get my brand message out here, trying to get my brand out into the market. Don't get me wrong, social media has been great, and what we're doing to support each other has been great. But we're doing some great things, and it's frustrating to have to really toil the way we have to toil and
Yeah.
struggle for attention
Yes.
and investment. You know,
Yes.
when companies out here can invest in, Kim Kardashian,
Uh-huh.
Kylie Jenner, all these folks who are appropriating our beauty standards. I mean,
Yep.
appropriating our beauty
Right.
standards. Kim Kardashian out here having African American kids, so it doesn't get any more. And they're promoting her beauty standards where we're the original of it. And so it's time for the fragrance industry, for the beauty industry, for the personal care industry, for the cosmetic industry to say, you know what, you need to be held accountable to some of these missteps that you're making. Because
Right.
that's how I feel. I feel like I'm on the sideline really creating great products. My peers are creating great products, but then the industry decides to invest billions of dollars into, again, a knockoff, as far as I'm concerned, a knockoff.
Right.
And,
Right.
all of my folks out here creating great stuff. Chris Classic, great
Yes.
stuff. My man,
Shout
Mason
out.
Darius, this is one of his
Mhm.
originals, great stuff.
Yes.
My man, Kirk Elliott, great stuff.
Mhm.
My man, Nick Ricardo,
Mm-hmm.
great stuff. My folks at Xavier's, great
Mm.
stuff.
Mm.
My folks at HT
Mm.
Guard, they doing good stuff.
Uh-huh.
My man Dan at Mystery Maker's Mark doing great
Homeboy out
stuff.
here. I love it.
My man at Clean Team, they doing great stuff. So we out here building. We out here building. You can't tell me that any of those brands can't go toe to toe and stand shoulder to shoulder on a
Correct.
shelf with someone else. You can't. It's
Right.
impossible. It's impossible. You can't tell me that because we're doing great stuff. We're doing great
Uh-huh.
stuff. And
So you're
so,
doing you're right. You're doing great stuff independently, individually. You've got several that you just pointed out there. Um, I'm military, so I come from an area
Mm.
where one weak link, your whole fence is wavy, right? But if you have that weak link in the middle of stronger links, you're building together.
Mm.
And I've seen coming from I came from Fort Hood a few years ago, and there is a church that's called CHOPS, Christian House of Prayer. And they have their bank, they have boutiques, they have restaurant, all of that in the plaza. They pour the resources into building better. The same thing as in Oklahoma, So Black Wall Street. I mean, these are the things
Mm.
that can happen. The problem that I'm noticing, and I don't know if you see it, is where there is a lot of individuality within the fragrance space amongst the Black or non-white space. And it's like everybody's going in their own direction. We're pushing for it to come together, but we're still going in separate directions.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and here's the thing, everyone has their dream, their individual dream and vision for their individual brand, which is great. Yes, you have a vision that's unique to you. You have a superpower that's unique to you.
Right.
And you do have to pursue that. You do have to pursue it. But there comes a time, because this is what I'm seeing now. There comes a time, though, when all these unique perspectives begin to converge at a point,
Correct.
and we're entering that point, because what we're seeing right now is everyone individually lining up the dominoes, in sequence, lining up the dominoes. Each of us are kind of inputting our own little domino in the line of Black brand building. But what needs to happen now is we need to kind of converge at the front of that line and put
Create a conglomerate.
all of our efforts to push over that first domino, so that
Right.
all of us can benefit from the momentum that we've individually done to line up those dominoes. And
Oh,
and
man.
that's the future for us. We have to learn. Let's join forces to push over that first domino. Because when we push over that first domino, what we're going to find is that the momentum now has its own inertia. It has its own
Yes.
energy. And what we're going to find is the people that have supported us, they're going to be the ones putting those dominoes at the end of the line to keep that inertia going, to keep that
Correct.
momentum going. And so I challenge each of my Black-owned fragrance brands, my Black-owned cosmetics brands, my Black-owned personal care brands. Come on, let's have these conversations so we can get to the front of the line and push over that first domino. Quit being in conflict with each other. Quit being afraid of telling each other how we did it and where I got this from and my secrets, because there are no secrets to this. There are no secrets to this. I'm really not the first. Okay, there's been others that have tried, but what we need to understand is we're standing on the shoulders of those who came before us, and we have an obligation and a duty to come together, stand at the front of the line, push over that first domino, and let the momentum build. Let the momentum build, and that's the directive. That is the directive.
I think that would be really. What do you think, Hakeem? I was just thinking about not just the actual brands themselves, but for us as influencers, especially, it's not just Black influencers. I'm talking about small influencers, large influencers across the platform to do their part. You know, it shouldn't just be the micro influencers, or it shouldn't just be February. We're talking about fragrances from Black companies. It should be a constant rotation. If you're talking about YSL Opium, then you pull out, Shawn Crenshaw, you pull out the Taliaferro when you're doing your lineup of fragrances. The same way, like when yesterday when Fumi mentioned people blind buy all the time, that hits a spot because we talk about support and promotion, but words, when it comes out your mouth, it means something when there is an action behind it.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm gonna say something really quick. So I'm all for us being united and doing that. I'm all for that, and I've been that way for quite some time. I feel like with our people of color, what happens is because of trauma and stuff like that, we tend to have this kind of competitive mindset. And what happens is, because some of us still don't really know who we are, unfortunately. I know who I am. I'm sure you guys know who you are. We don't know who we are, so we kind of see each other as competition, and we're constantly trying to reach each other's standard when we should all be joining together to reach a standard. And I feel like what needs to happen, like we have this young lady, her name is Elle. I definitely give her a shout out. She has a website known as blackperfumers.com. And her and I have been in conversation. I haven't gotten to speak to her on the phone, but my intention is to be able to bring this pool together of individuals such as yourselves. Also, individuals like Mr. Cologne and so forth. There's other influencers as well to kind of bring some more attention to what we're doing and how we can really start to really shake up the industry and really make even more impact. Use our fragrances to make even more impact, because I feel like that's what it is. Go ahead, Shawn.
Okay, listen, I'm gonna tell you, and my thought of it is this: is that I think the strongest proposition we can make is bringing more people into the fragrance industry.
Yes.
Bringing people that are casual or not even fragrance users at all. We have the biggest opportunity to bring those people from the sideline into the arena. And what the major fragrance players need to understand is a rising tide rises all ships. And some of the key people that, when we talk about influencers, we talk about what's driving the culture, what's driving style, the people on this phone, the people on this call, the people listening in on this live, we're the ones that are really taking people from the sideline into the game. And I think, the major fragrance players, come on, you got to value that. And you got to see the importance of it. Because the groundwork that I'm doing right now, the groundwork that you all are doing, the groundwork that many in this space, the groundwork that we're doing is exactly that. We're bringing people into the space that never, ever considered purchasing a fragrance, who never, ever considered a reason why it was important to purchase a fragrance. And you mean to tell me that that's not a value? You mean to tell me not only are we doing it through our cultural influence, but we're doing it with great products.
Yes.
We're doing it with great products. We're doing it with great products. So the industry has to wake up and smell the coffee.
That's it.
Wake up and smell the coffee. And that's my, whenever I have these conversations, that's what I stand on right there. You can't tell me that by, you know, recognizing the value that we bring, not only as influencers, but as brand owners, we can rise the tide. That's what's happening. They're struggling getting sales. They're struggling. They don't even know where to turn. Well, I'm going to tell you where to turn. You looking at it. You turn to us. And we have to position ourselves and be ready for that opportunity. And a lot of us are. And I appreciate each and every person that's added to the ecosystem. Because if we just keep pushing, trust me, there will be no option but to turn to us. Like in every other industry, like in every other, you know, personal care and cosmetic, they turn to us.
That's right.
And that's it. And that's just that simple. And I'm not apologetic about my opinion about it. I'm not apologetic about the accountability that I'm going to hold each and every one of us as Black brand owners in the fragrance space. I'm not unapologetic. I'm unapologetic about it. I'm not going to apologize. Like, come on, y'all. Why are we doing it? Why are you doing it? You just doing it to see your name on a bottle? You just doing it so you can give a gift to one of your, you know, your friends and look cute out here? No, I'm not. I didn't spend the past 8 years trying to be cute.
Right.
I didn't do that. I was born cute. My mama made me cute. So I don't got to spend no time
There you go. That's
my
it.
mama made me cute. I don't have to do that. Okay? We out here trying to build brands and change the world. And that's that. It's that simple.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Shawn. So this is on my list, right? Because I'm sure the audience has to know this too. What was the first fragrance you wore, and how did it make you feel? Like, let's take it back.
You know what? My very first fragrance, and they don't even make it anymore, man. My very first fragrance was Pierre Cardin. Pierre Cardin had a fragrance. It was a tall cylinder with a globe, with a kind of a ball top. And that was my very first fragrance, man. And you know, I might be dating myself, aging myself, which I'm not ashamed of. You know, I just celebrated my 53rd birthday, so I'm not ashamed.
Oh man, happy belated.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. But yeah, that was my first fragrance, and you know, it was beautiful, man. It was beautiful.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So like, you got to tell me, like, how did you get that? Like, did you buy it, or was it like in your father's closet or your uncle's or whatever?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it was in my father's collection. And so I tell this story on occasion is, you know, I was in grade school, and man, I just had a big crush on this one individual in my class, this young lady. I just had a crush on her. And my dad knew I had a crush. I was coming home just distraught. I was trying everything I knew how to get her attention. We were out on the playground during recess. I was trying to, you know, help her up the slide and be at the bottom of the slide to make sure she didn't fall in the dirt and all. Man, she ignored me every time. I was like, man, she had other little boys was pushing me out of the way, and her little friends was guarding her, and I was just like, dang, I just want to say, can I just say hello? Like, dang. So my dad picks me up, you know, and he's like, son, what's wrong with you, man? What's going on? So I told him the story. I was like, Dad, you know, man, I done struck out, man. I you know, this girl got me all strung out. So that next morning, he pulled that Pierre Cardin off the shelf and he sprayed it on me. He said, listen, I tell you what, son, you go to school today with this on it, and just, you don't even have to say nothing. Just walk around it. Just walk close to her and just tell me what happens. You know, when you come home, just tell me what happened. Man, he gave the wrong person the passcode. Man, I robbed the bank that day, man. I went in there, boy, I was flicking my shoulders, you know, I was swooning around. Oh man. She's like, Shawn, what's that you're wearing? And that's all I needed. That's all I needed. And so that's when I recognized the power of fragrance right there. That's when I knew it was powerful.
Oh man, that's dope, man. So like, what ingredient, if there is one, would you say kind of always takes you to that special place? Like, if there's one ingredient you can think of.
I tell you, you know, my fragrance journey has I've smelt a lot of different notes, a lot of different accords, man. And the one that really, really, really like just gets me, man. And some people like it, some people don't. But man, I'm an amber. I like amber, man.
Ah, yes, I do too.
Yeah.
And amber is my thing, and it just kind of it has this romanticism about it for me. you
Yeah.
know, and it just has a freshness and romanticism about it, and it's always that as we've tried to tinker with recipes, and
Yeah.
you know, the amber has always been that secret sauce that rounds things out. It gives it a different signature, different flavor. So you know, I'm a big amber fan. I'm a big vetiver. I'm a big vetiver fan. I love vetiver. So yeah, so those are kind of my two. You know, I'm growing on some others, but yeah, I like amber.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like amber too. I think amber is it's one note that's always turning any fragrance into a sensual fragrance.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does. It doesn't matter
Yep.
how playful that fragrance is. If it's got amber in it, there's some
It's over.
sensuality within
It's
that.
over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, ooh, somebody said ooh.
Oud.
Yo.
Yeah, somebody
You know,
asked about
Yeah,
oud.
you
Yeah,
know,
that's
oud.
it for
I
me.
tell you, oud is a good one too. Don't get me wrong. It's got to be. See, sometimes oud comes off a little strong for me. Sometimes, you know,
Yeah.
it kind of slaps me in the face sometimes. But I know it's got to be the right oud. So I'm a oud fan too. I'll say this: oud. When you add oud to something, you just put a little muscle in it. You put a little muscle and a little attention and a little depth. You
yes.
know, so yeah, I like oud too. But again, amber right now. If I had to name my top three, it would be amber, vetiver, and I tell you, man. Oud is either between oud and I'm gonna say sandalwood. I like sandalwood.
Oh, okay.
I like sandalwood.
Okay.
Me too. Yeah. So you consider yourself a storyteller, right? So, like, when did you start to realize that perfumers were more than just a blend of ingredients?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, just like I just told that last story. I mean, for me, fragrance alone, or fragrance is always attached for me. It is attached to a story,
Yeah.
and as I've gotten more and more into my fragrance journey, I learned that even the composition of the notes kind of tell a story.
That's true.
You know, and so, but for me, it's you know, as we all know, you know, it's the attachment to the memory
Yeah.
that really makes
Yeah.
the fragrance great.
Yeah.
And I realized we've kind of for me in creating my brand and my brand storytelling, well, how we're flipping it on its head is we want to tell the story from a fragrance perspective. Just imagine if the fragrance was a person. Just imagine if the fragrance was a organic individual in the room when the thing was going down. Whatever it is that's going down, if you can
Yes.
imagine the fragrance actually being a person with eyes and
Yeah.
ears and
Yes.
a mouth, and that's the kind of perspective that we like
Wow.
to tell our story. You know, for Ovation for Men. If you go back and look at some of our most recent content, you know, our Father's Day campaign, some of the things that we've put out, we really took that, our creative team, you know, as we were at the table writing our storyboards and things like that, we were like, hey, what would it look like if the fragrance was a person? What would it look like? What would the fragrance be thinking? What would he be saying? What would she be saying? And so that's kind of how we are looking at how to build our brand and do storytelling in our brand building.
Nice. Nice. Speaking of building the brand, do you think that I know that Ovation, where the historical value comes from that, based out of you and your experience, but and wanting to, really celebrate men, especially Black men. But have you considered making a counterpart fragrance, for a partner or a woman? Because behind every good man who is standing for his ovation is a good woman or partner.
Yes. So
Hello.
yes. So okay. So
Yo.
she done came out swinging on me. See,
Hey,
everyone
yo.
she done came out swinging.
Expected
You
it.
know, everyone asked that question. Everyone asked that question. I tell you, it is definitely a part of our strategic plan to introduce an ovation for women.
Okay.
I mean, every man deserves an ovation, but I'm gonna tell you something. Our hardworking women, every woman deserves an encore because y'all
That's
already
right.
on stage. Y'all already doing big things.
Uh-huh.
And we need to give you an encore. So that means that's two ovations. See, a man
Uh-huh.
gets one ovation, but a woman gets two ovations.
Yep, there you go.
So let me be
Talking
clear.
right.
Let me be clear. Let me be clear now. We're not gonna keep you on the sideline. You gonna get two ovations. Okay, every man deserves an ovation, but every woman deserves an encore. So trust me, strategically we're getting there. We're getting where we want to kind of start introducing that brand. I have a lot of female supporters people that
Yes.
have bought them for their husbands, their significant others, their sons, and they all write back to me saying, Ovation is special. We support you. We love you. Thank you. I get a lot of thank yous. And so we built up a lot of goodwill with our female clients. And so I want to honor you. I really do. And that's a part of our brand strategy, you know, and strategic vision is to honor our women, because I can't wait to put that imagery out to show you. You know, I can't wait to put that imagery out to
I know that's gonna
celebrate
be
you.
hot. I know
Oh
that's
yeah,
gonna be
I
hot.
can't wait. So we're getting there. We're getting there slowly but surely. We're getting there, and you know, it's about financing. You know, it's
Yes.
about financing, and that's been the biggest piece. Is just lining up all of our financing to really execute it all the way through. Because the last thing I want to do is to introduce. You know, yeah, we can get the recipe. Yeah, I can get the bottle. But hey, if I don't have the marketing campaign behind it and some of those things that haven't really mapped out, it'll, you know, I don't want to put the brand and put my intentions to honor, you know, honor you all. I don't want to do a disservice. You know, I want to make sure we got it all lined up.
So I have a question, right? So in regards to Ovation and Encore, like you just mentioned, possibly Encore, we're not saying that's going to be the name, but if you could craft a custom fragrance for just 3 people, past or present, who would those be? Custom fragrance.
Let's, you know, you know, I would say I would love if I could, you know, sit down and craft a fragrance for, and this is past, you know, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali.
Ooh.
Muhammad
That's a
Ali was,
good.
yeah,
Yes.
Muhammad Ali was influential for me. I'm a big boxing fan. I love Muhammad Ali. Another pass would be Nelson Mandela. I'd love to create a fragrance to represent and honor Nelson Mandela, everything that he stood for, the struggle, and just understanding his story, and try to put a, you know, put a fragrance in a storyline for Nelson. And then you know, present, you know, I love to do something for Barack Obama. I mean, you know,
Yo,
love him or hate him, you know, I don't know
right
what your
there.
political, you know, what your political where you stand on the aisle, but you know, Barack was a trailblazer, and people can say what they want to say. The things that he had to do to sacrifice to get to where he did, and the support that he needed, is worthy of an ovation. And I think there's
Absolutely.
things that we can do with a fragrance that would just elevate that story even further. So those would be my 3.
Oh man, that's awesome. Pam?
You know, yeah, I was just thinking about how to when that whole election campaign was going on, and then most recently what occurred last year, when we had the BLM movement, you know, like literally fully take off. I remember looking at how countries outside of the US were involved and how supportive that was. You know, people came from all walks of life outside of their homes and they were rallying together. That being said, I foresee a potential for us to be across the water, you know, because there are great Black perfumers and great, you know, the beauty industry and stuff. It's not just in the US. So reaching outside of, whether it be for financing, you know, this is how I look at life. All people can say is no if they're not interested, you know, but reaching outside of our shores to get the support that we need to elevate
Yeah,
the
yeah,
industry even further.
yeah, yeah,
Because if we're depending, or if we're looking for just within our borders right here, we're being short-sighted.
yeah. That's a very good point, Pam. I think you know, there are inroads being made, you know, to connect the dots overseas. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I don't know if Glenn, Mr. Cologne 76 is still on the call, but you know, he took a trip. He and
Mm-hmm.
Joe sent me and a few others took a trip to Africa. And
Yes.
man, it really again solidified my my thought that, you know, we are making inroads and making connections that are really going to be beneficial for us on a global scale.
Right.
And it's those type of, you know, those type of connections that Glenn took on is what's going to make it possible. And so, yes, you know, if we can't find the financing, we can't find the support here, I'm not discouraged, because fragrance is global. And like I
That's right.
said, there are many of us that are doing great things outside of this country. And so we can all come together and figure out how we can form a collective, you know,
Right.
and gain.
Because you have a lot of you do have a lot of fans across. You have a lot of fan in the Middle East. You have a lot of fans in the Caribbean, of course. You know, having those options available, even if it's to be inside of a small boutique. You know, like I know airport boutiques are a little more taxing because it costs a lot of money to be in those boutiques, but smaller boutiques like in the hotels and things of that nature, when people go on vacation, you know, things of that nature, I can, in my head space, I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be so awesome, because that's where you find unique things when you travel. It's very, you know, coming from where I was stationed recently, it took me an hour and 45 minutes just to get to Oklahoma City. So I would not, if I was not on the internet, if I didn't know Glenn, if I didn't know Sarah, if I didn't know, you know, these influencers, I would not have known about you. You know, so just trying to market, you know, you meet somebody and you never know who would be able to carry your stuff. Okay, I'll carry 100 bottles, you know.
Right. Yeah, you're right. And you know, I mean, that's the level that we're moving towards, to be honest, because now, you know, again, it's a community now where I don't think any of us are going to let the next person fail. We're just not going to let it, you know, we're just not going to let it happen. And so I think now it's where we're in a season, an era of expansion, you know, and really connecting those dots. And that's why I always say for the major fragrance players, you know, it's just so discouraging that they're not even participating in some of the foundation building that we're doing. But it's okay. It's okay. But you know what? Let me say this too. I do want to give a shout out though to someone that has been very instrumental, that came from, you know, the fragrance industry. I don't know if you all are familiar with Bart Smith. Bart has been kind of a mentor to me, and has really made himself available to push me, challenge me, give me guidance. And so I am so appreciative of Bart. Like, if you're on this call, or if anyone is you know, remixing this message, you know, let it be known that, you know, there are people who do support us. There are people that want to see us
succeed.
Yes. So don't get me wrong. I don't want my message to be twisted.
Right.
What I'm saying is there needs to be more Barts. People with fragrance industry experience, people with fragrance industry knowledge. All of us are self-taught at this from being consumers. We took our passion as consumers to educate ourselves, to learn kind of how to do this. And I think there's an opportunity, there's a gap there where if there was just, you know, a bridge made and people that were interested in reaching out to us, we'd be the most accomplished students that anyone in the fragrance industry has ever seen. Why? Because we're already displaying the level of passion and commitment and determination that others probably couldn't muster. And so, you know, Bart has been there for me when I didn't know where to turn. And Bart said, you know what, I got someone you can talk to. There's a perfumer, there's a manufacturer, there's a packaging company, there's a bottling company. I know someone over here. Hey, let me turn them on to you. You know, I don't have to talk for you. You got a good mouthpiece, so I'm just gonna turn you on to them, give them the green light, you know, and you do your thing. And that was God saying. That was God saying.
That's right.
That's all we need. That was the ask. The ask wasn't anything else. You know, the ask is just like, hey, I have a vision for it. I just need to know who to talk to. I need to know where to turn. I need to know what to anticipate when I step into that room. I need to know what to say. I need to know, you know, what am I up against when I walk into that room. I need to know what that invoice is gonna look like when I say this is what I want. That's God saying. That's information that we need to know. And so what I would say is, you know, something that we can do is, as we make inroads into the industry, you know, you have a duty and obligation to say, hey, you know what? Let me see if I can also make inroads and build those relationships with someone that's willing to help. And then let me put my folk back on notice. Like, hey, I got somebody that's willing to help. And so I say Bart Smith. If you don't know who Bart Smith is, he's on Instagram. He's an active member of our community. Definitely look him up. Go follow Bart. Bart will respond to any DM, email, and if he doesn't have the answer, he's definitely capable and able to get you in the right direction.
Awesome.
I can second that. He's good. He's definitely good people's.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this question, right?
Mhm.
So speaking of creation, right? Like, is there a certain environment that is best for you when you try to create new perfumes? So for example, let's say for me, I like to be in a place, I like to have the festive lights, like the Christmas lights, you know, that type of stuff. I like to have that. I like to have some jazz, maybe even like some hot tea or something when I want to create. So what's like that ideal environment for you when you're creating?
You know, and let me say this first. I will say where there's, for me, I'm not, I'm not an artisan, to be honest. I'm not the artisan type. I'm more of a brand idea, kind of brand vision and type of person. But with fragrance, it has allowed me to kind of expand kind of my creative touch into artistry and being kind of a fragrance artisan, but more so from just in collaboration with Perfumer. And I think for me, the creative space is understanding what story is missing in the creative narrative of fragrance. That's where the creativity comes from me. It's not necessarily in the composition.
Okay.
I try to, because again, I studied fragrance campaigns for at least a year and a half, all of them,
Mhm.
and I identified some things that were missing, and that's where the creative sparks happens for me, is identifying the brand stories, the narratives that are missing in our space. And then from there, I take that brand story and try to articulate, again, with the help of someone more seasoned than I, more experienced than I, in actually fragrance composition and fragrance, make perfumer, is trying to bring that to life. But I'm gonna tell you what the creative space is. I'm just be dead to answer your question. The creative space is us, deep in our culture. Our culture is our creative space.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to engulf myself in us,
Mm,
and I think what a lot of us try to do is, and don't get me wrong, listen, some people try to, take their new learnings and their new vocabulary and their new travels to France and here and there and all that good stuff. I ain't that guy. I'm just be honest with you. I ain't that guy. So and no knock on anyone that is. Now don't get me wrong. Hey, do your thing. But I'm never gonna recite something that I learned in France in the perfume studio. I'm never gonna, but I will
yo,
recite some Biggie. I will recite some Jay-Z. I will recite a speech that Obama gave. I will see, that's what I will recite. And then that will be the
respect,
foundation.
respect.
That will be the foundation of my creative genius. Is what's deep in the culture. Be like a submarine and take a deep dive into the culture. That is my creative space.
I
Not
love
sitting,
that.
not somewhere else. And that's just not me.
I
Again,
love it.
there are other people who but that ain't me. That's just not me.
Authenticity, man. Authenticity. I
Yes,
think
that's what I was
Pam, they
just.
talked about that yesterday. Her and Glenn, they were
Yeah.
talking about authenticity, and like that's what I think a lot of the fragrance industry, especially, more so the fragrance industry as a whole, is lacking that authenticity, like
Mhm.
that real authentic connection. Like
Mhm.
I was just talking. I forgot who I was talking to, but I was asking them. I'm like, no disrespect, but I'm like, when you bought Rihanna's perfume, why did you buy it? And now, usually the answer, and this is just regarding any major name fragrance. I was like, why did you buy it? And they was like, oh, because it smelled good. I like the bottle. But I was like, other than that, is there any other connection that you have with that particular product? And it was like, no. And what I was saying, like regarding what we're talking about as far as authenticity, like when I design and when you design your products, you want that person to, like, you live the brand. You salute other men. You live that out. So your product is articulating what you already do. So it's who you are.
Right.
That's who you are.
Exactly.
And I
I
feel
think
like that's what we need in more brands. We need brands that don't just try to sell you something, but they're actually speaking to you. They're
I
either
think that there
informing,
is
educating, or inspiring.
yes. I think that, to be honest with you, when I look at that fragrance, I think that a lot of people purchased it because they wanted to support Rihanna, just like when the makeup came out. And I think it's less than authentic to say that that wasn't a reasoning behind it, whether it was conscious or unconscious or subconscious. That's basically what happened. They couldn't wait for her because there are a lot of people who said, even in their write-ups, oh, I thought it would smell similar to what Killian created, that because that's the fragrance that Killian didn't create the fragrance for her. She wore that fragrance. And so everybody was buying it because she was wearing it. there is a difference between how is that fragrance going to make you feel like Rihanna? Are you going to look like Rihanna? Is that the reason you bought the fragrance? Or did you buy the fragrance because you were expecting something for it to transport you somewhere? And it all depends. It all depends because not everybody that buys fragrances buy it because they want it to be transported. Everybody has their own reason for buying it. But when you talk about authenticity and you're doing a review on a fragrance, you have to be very specific. To me, you have to be very specific as to what are the notes you're smelling and whether or not it's working with your body temperature. Not, I smell like Rihanna. That is just not that doesn't make sense to me. But that's just me.
No. Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. I think, people have their reasons for buying. And again, I don't knock anyone for their reasons for buying. We talk about people blind buy. People have their certain reasons for buying. But at the end of the day, once you get that product, though, I think as fragrance, as brand owners, fragrance brands, our number one objective is to kind of connect with someone in an authentic way, to make them feel a certain way that's unique to them. And if there's similarities of you can make 1,000 people, 100,000, 100 million people feel a certain way, then great. But overall, I look at it as that in building a brand, and as we tell the stories, let's create a fragrance that when this person picks it up, it's guaranteed that it's going to make them feel a certain way that's authentic to them. And so I agree with you. Authenticity is the key. And so, but, let me add this too. What I love too about fragrance though, and what makes the opportunity so great for us is that everyone, it has a level of subjectivity to it where a different fragrance, a fragrance may make a person feel one type of way, and that same fragrance may make a person feel another type of way. That's actually an opportunity for us. That's an opportunity for you to go in and really create. You know what I'm saying? It's like art.
Right.
It's the same thing with art.
Oh, we can't hear.
Can you hear?
Go.
I apologize. I'm getting a few phone calls. Coming in. So
over there.
I apologize.
Yeah, it's all good.
But the authenticity is great, and I'm glad you said that, Pam.
So I have a question, right? So question. Pause right quick because we got the audience on here while we got a good amount of people on here. Are we going to do a giveaway on your behalf? Because I'm going to give away for the Taliaferro. Are you going to do one too?
You know what? I got you. I'm supporting the giveaway.
Love.
I'm supporting the giveaway.
So y'all pay attention because there were some questions that I asked Shawn and I have answers written down. So we're gonna get to that part in a second, but make sure you are paying attention to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
There's gonna be questions that I ask, and if you know the answer, then you'll basically win that prize. So I have like 2 more questions for you, Shawn. Like, what's the legacy that you want to leave behind?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Wow, I gotta stand. Let me get.
You gotta stand up.
What's the legacy? And that's a great question. I really, and it's still in the works. I'll be honest. I'm still on this journey of trying to determine what the legacy will be because I am in it to leave a legacy. I want to leave a legacy. I want to, do enough good work where the next person behind me has a good foundation to continue the journey. And if anything, I want to leave a legacy of courage, a legacy of honesty and truthfulness, a legacy of accountability, a legacy of togetherness. We in this together. There will never be a divisive word from my mouth regarding my brothers that's out here doing their thing with their brands. I would never say anything negative about any of these brothers that's doing their thing, ever. It would always be, creating a legacy of support, a legacy of even if it means I have to sacrifice a little of my own progress. That's okay. We have to do that more often and understand that we're doing this for the next generation, the next person. And so the legacy for me is, that Shawn did it with courage. He did it with courage. He did it with authenticity. And he did it with togetherness. It's we.
Yes.
It's we. And if I ever get to a point to write a memoir or to, bring that podcast to life, those are going to be some themes that we're going to talk about. And those are going to be some, some connections that I'll make moving forward with people who feel the same way. And so that's the legacy that I want to leave.
I
That's
love
pretty
that.
awesome. Now you pulled out a couple of bottles, and I want to know, are you a collector, a curator, or a minimalist when it comes to your fragrance collection?
Love it.
Wow, that's a good question. Woo, boy, that's a good question. Um, I started as a minimalist. I am probably a curator. I'm a curator.
Okay.
I'm a curator. You know, I purposefully support, you know, our brands. You know, I don't have a vast collection of designer brands. You know, I never really did. I mean, I had, you know, growing up, you get the most popular designer brands. I mean, you had no choice because that was all that was available.
Mhm.
But for me now, I'm more about, you know, curating the message, curating kind of the experience, curating, you know, the feeling, and I want to do it, and I want to do it through our brands. I think our brands are just doing a great job of curating. We are, and so I would consider myself a curator.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, would you create other items such as like candles? Because when I think about
Uh-oh.
the experience,
Uh-oh.
you know, and I'm not a big candle person so much. I like reeds, but you know, just like the oils permeating the space when you walk in, you know, that type of stuff. Are you thinking maybe something like that in the future for your brand?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, we have again for us on my team. You know, we have a list of things that we want to expand the brand in, and that is one of them. Along with apparel, we think there's an opportunity to possibly do some apparel. You know, our tagline, "Every man deserves an ovation," was recently trademarked, and so we've gotten some interest about, you know, marketing that our slogan. You know, my name, Shawn Crenshaw, is trademarked, and who knows, I might be able to license it on some other things. So you know, we'll see. We're gonna entertain some opportunities for sure.
I love it. I
Awesome.
love it. I love it.
Awesome.
So I got one last question, and then I want you to drop some bars, drop some words of wisdom to the audience, to whoever's listening, before we go into the giveaway portion. So my last question for you is, what's next for Mr. Crenshaw?
Yeah, I tell you, you know, what you can expect from Shawn Crenshaw and the brand is we're really going to get into storytelling and presenting brand messages through fragrance. Um,
Nice.
you know, a lot of people have put a lot of focus on introducing multiple fragrance lines. What we're going to be doing is introducing multiple storylines about fragrance, and then augmenting our storylines with the appropriate fragrance, like a women's fragrance and some other things. But you know, I'm really transitioning into, you know, being a storyteller, brand storyteller through fragrance. You know, I like the title of executive producer. You know,
I
I
love
like the title of director. I like the title of executive producer and director and creator. I like that title. And I think what I'm learning is, you know, I've been able to build a brand, a fragrance brand, where I can exercise some of my creative talents as an
Right.
executive producer, as a director, as a curator, and invite others to be a part of the platform. So I think you'll see more of that for sure. We'll definitely be moving forward. Again, we're going to be honoring, you know, our women of color, our African American women, our women of color with a fragrance line that just has to happen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's going to happen.
it.
So you can see
Awesome.
that, and yeah, and then just hopefully the other thing is really me taking the lead on, you know, pushing forward some of the things I talked about. Like, we really need to bring our voices together, and I like to have some conversation with folks in the community about how we can do that, because I think there's an opportunity, you know, where we can, you know, create an organization that really starts, you know, bringing some resources to the table to really push all of us forward in a collective manner. So
I
that's what you
love
can
that.
expect.
I love that. So I actually just remembered too. I have Trill Noel. I think he's ready. I'm actually going to allow him to come on really quick on video. He's going to ask you a question, Shawn. So,
Okay.
all right, just give me a second. Here we go. All right, he's about to hop on right now. Waiting for him to come on. I sent you the invitation.
Good
Here
evening,
we go.
everybody.
What's up?
My name's Trill Noel, for those of y'all that don't know me.
What's up, Trill?
But before I even introduce myself, I just want to ask everybody in the audience, can we get a round of applause? Because this is the first time that I come on Instagram and I see four black, beautiful minds speaking at the same time. today is just this is history for me. Like, this is groundbreaking. I am enjoying the 2020 that has started so far.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, Shawn Crenshaw, man. I know you probably never noticed me in your comments because you get so many in a day. But I've left so many comments in support of what you were doing. I saw you with your frat brothers holding up the signs. I saw you at. It just brought back some good vibes, man. I remember whenever I saw all that in college as a kid, it was just like I aspired to be a black gentleman someday, a man of class, a man of culture, a man of worldly intuition. And I see a lot of that coming out of your brand, man. I respect the hustle. I respect the grind. Now, Talia up here, is Hakeem, right?
Yeah, Hakeem, yeah.
Hakeem up here comes in,
Oh,
and I'm
hello?
sitting on here
Okay.
in my studio. As you can see, this is my perfume lab. He comes in and he starts reading poetry, and it was so beautiful to see somebody that's literally, and as a black artist, tying an art that goes back generations with us into the world of perfumery. It's almost like to say each person is putting in different footsteps into these bottles to show the struggle that our people have had to come through in this world. But so he told me I could come on the live with you guys and have a chat. I'll introduce myself now that we got that out the way. My name is Trill Noel. I'm from Louisiana. I'm 30 years old. I have a master's degree in digital engineering, and I now spend my time being a chemical engineer. I have a bachelor's degree in art history and digital art. I spent my life teaching boxing, doing Mongolian throat singing, rapping, making albums. Those were my hobbies growing up. And I also speak Mongolian. And I lost my house last year, and this community, especially Glenn, if he's in the audience, came through to my rescue. And I never had more faith in my own people than at that time, because the people in my state did not offer a hand of help to me. My neighbor did not offer a hand of help to me. There was a tree on my house. You can see it in my photos. It took out my entire structure. I lost 4 out of the 5 rooms in that house. Wow. The kitchen was the only thing standing. Wow. I lost everything I owned. Not one neighbor came to check on me, came to see, called me, asked for my number, nothing. Wow. But I came on Instagram and I let people know what was going on. Immediately, Glenn started a fundraiser. He started sharing my stuff to his feed. He said, guys, this new person to the community, he needs our help. He's a black perfumer from Louisiana. He lost everything he owned. He lost his lab. He lost his chemicals. And he was trying to make a dream come true. If it wasn't for that moment, my dream would not be here today. And the last thing that I did this month, because it hasn't really got attention yet, even from the black community, which shocked me, and it kind of hurt a bit. But, I mean, I'm not that well known. I've only been here for maybe half a year. But I released a fragrance dedicated to the first black samurai, the only black samurai in the history of the world. His name was Yasuke. And I released that fragrance, and it has black oud in it. I'm making our own freaking oud. Like, we deserve to have our own chemicals in this world. You know, not everything has to be, oh, this is the Arabic guy doing this with this. This is a white guy doing this with that. Well, what have we given the industry? What have we created? So I have black oud now, and that's in Yasuke. And he is as black as can be, because that's how they received him when he went to Japan. They actually brought him into the emperor's palace in Japan, and they washed him 8 times. The emperor said, why does the dirt not come off of his skin? And he was so impressed by this man Yasuke's strength, his size and stature, and the color of his skin. Instead of hating it or being afraid of it, he handed this man treasures. He handed him gold. Yasuke came back after whatever, they were on a missionary journey, after touring the country. He came back to that palace, and he joined Oda Nobunaga as a samurai. He was taught the code of samurai, and he fought in wars. A black man from Morocco or Africa, all the way in Japan, fighting for a culture that he did not even know.
Right.
And that goes to say what we have had to do in this world, in this country, in this state. Every single day we have to fight in a system that doesn't even know me, that doesn't even respect me, that doesn't even care about me at the end of the day. I have to fight just to get the same rights as other people in this country. I have to breathe in the same air as people that don't care about me. every single day, and I just have to accept it. And if I don't accept it, they'll look at me and say, well, maybe you just need to accept it, and you need to work harder. You need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
You need to
So I
come
am
forward.
absolutely proud of the two of you in this room right now. As I was sitting in this live, my heart, man, my heart.
Wow.
We appreciate you, brother.
Yeah,
Where
definitely.
can I get the fragrance? Where can I get the fragrance?
Harmony. So Harmony is spelled. I'll show you one of the bottles, just so I don't have to. It's XARMONY. Let me see if I can get this on with the light. So that's Cleopatra. This is a fragrance that is dedicated to Cleopatra, who was in Africa. As you know, my brand is world representative. It takes cultures from all around the world and tries to link them together. But I had a hard time finding something in Black culture because, as you know, our history was ignored. Our history wasn't taught to us.
Right.
So I dug and I found Yasuke.
Do me a favor. Send me I don't have anything to write with right now. Send me a DM. Send me a DM. Send me a DM
Yes.
so I can check out your page. I got you. I'm getting it done.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. It's Harmony. That's XARMONY. The X
Thank
in
you, Amanda.
Mongolian sounds like an H.
She wrote that for you.
Yeah, I think you can pin it if you want. You can if you click on that comment and hold your thumb down, you should be able to pin it so it appears at the bottom. But I have been spending the past 2 years of my life studying chemical perfumery, down to the vapor pressure levels, down to the molecular weights, down to the different categories of everything in the industry, from naturals to synthetics to experimental ingredients that aren't even allowed in cosmetics.
Wow.
Yeah.
I plan to lay down a foundation that will make a way for us, that will be in our name. Because my biggest pet peeve, no offense to anyone in this room, and no, whenever you guys said the thing about Rihanna, it's the first thing that I wanted to say. People are invested in that fragrance. They're paying money for that fragrance. Who was the perfumer that got $500,000 to make it? Where did that money go? Did it go to us? Or what brand released it? Where did that money go? Did it go to us? Did it go to Rihanna? Did it go to our culture? Did it go to our people? Because there's no mainstream Black perfumers. There's only like one. You guys mentioned him as well. After that, what do they have? It has to be French or Italian. There's nothing else. I haven't seen an African name. I haven't seen an African American name. There was no Tyrone, the perfumer. There's no Jamal. There's none of that. You know, like, so in reality, the industry isn't bringing us into it. It's using us to appropriate. And that's the only time. You know, like, and that goes with all other cultures. Any BIPOC, anyone. There's like limited resources on us in that industry, period. So, you know, you might buy a fragrance from a company and it could be in the image of a Black person, which is something that's getting our face around. It is getting, but ultimately that money isn't going back to that person. It's the same thing that has been happening to our people since the days of old, before segregation was gone. You know, the earliest performances of the Wiz, you go all the way back to Broadway. Black performers are here in Harlem doing these things, performing for these shows. They're not making the money. They're getting a percentage.
A fraction.
They're getting a cut, a truly diminished cut is what they get from it. They don't get, but they get the stardom. How long does stardom last?
Well,
where is Lil Wayne right now?
Yeah.
Oh, like literally, where is Lil Wayne right now? Can anyone in this room tell me? Exactly.
I don't understand.
That's my thing.
But that's the thing, though, when you think about brandings, and that's what Mr. Crenshaw was talking about earlier, when Shawn was talking about coming together and creating I want to say it's a conglomerate. That's how I look at it, as a conglomerate. So you have
the Black Avengers.
Right, but you have a conglomerate. You have the investors, of course, because you can't go anywhere without. I mean, the system is set up where that's just the way the system is set up. Point blank. Period.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the issue at hand is, like, if you think about old school Motown, you know, where you have those individuals, they go and they sing the songs, but they're not the one who's shown on the TV show. You know, so you've had all of those things, but we've moved past all of that, but we're kind of still stuck in that rut because you
Yes.
have that wanting to be, you still have like the identity that Mr. Crenshaw was talking about earlier, wanting to stay, wanting to belong, wanting to feel, what am I part of? Wanting to be a part of. We are a part of something. It's just the fact of trying to own it, take on ownership of it, and then pushing it forward. Being, whether it's the middle domino, whether it's the second to last domino, whether you're the first domino, in that momentum, that inertia, when that inertia occurs, being someone to go, okay, I got you. And then, you know, like when you do like courses for HR, right? When you do courses and trust, knowing that you're going to be there.
Yes.
I do not like giving negative reviews to a company. I do not feel that it serves a purpose. You know, I think you talk to the person, but you don't go out there and put them on blast for everybody to hate them, because that's a negative movement. I'm not interested in negative movements. I'm interested in positive movements. And positive movements move forward. Negative just holds you back, regardless of if you're part of it or if you're standing on the sidelines watching it occur. Yeah. So based off of what you just said there, yes, you're creating, you know, for a group, but you and I already talked, you know, it takes one step in front the next, and you're going to get one chuck on the shoulder backwards. But at the end of the day, it's constantly leaning forward. Like when you're running, you lean forward, you run on your toes, and you push forward. That's what you have to do. So today, you get an opportunity to speak to Mr. Crenshaw on the, you know, privately after we get off of here. And you're creating now, you have just made that connection.
There we go.
So if anything has come across from this, besides people getting a giveaway of 2 fragrances, it's the fact that a relationship has occurred.
I mean, I could throw a giveaway in here too. I could give away, if anybody, if people can tell me, I'll probably have to just post a question, but if you guys could tell me what year Yasuke made it into Japan, I'll do a giveaway to the people in the audience.
You know they're Googling right now.
They gotta,
they're gonna
find like an iPad or another device. So they don't...
And the second one would be, who did he serve under? The name of the person that he served under.
The emperor?
Yes. Because it would be too easy to just Google the year. Like that's but you gotta read the rest to find who he was under. Because I want y'all to know his story. When he arrived in Japan, he was 6'2". Everyone in Japan at that time was around 5'5". So they looked up at him and they thought he was a demon. They thought he was from the heavens. They didn't know what this guy was. Because no one in Japan had ever seen a black person. They're an island. No one had ever been there before.
Right.
Other than like some white settlers who had recently, you know, ventured into their country and they made connections. But then white is close enough to what they are to where they were like, okay, that's a human.
Right.
This guy showed up and he was black as night and they were just like, what's going on?
So there are some questions that are popping up here, and we want to get back to Mr. Crenshaw.
Yes.
We want to get back to Mr. Crenshaw, but there are some questions that are popping up here that we want to make sure that we, that's probably more suited for you, Troll, in reference to what you brought up, in reference to the oud and stuff like that. So I'll shoot you that question after the fact, and we can talk offline and maybe do another live where you start talking about.
Yeah, I don't mean to steal the wheel.
You're good. You're good. But
y'all just lit a fire under me as I was sitting here watching. I was just,
and that's the intent. That's truly the intent of this live. If nothing else came across this, the relationships are formed, people are informed about what's out there and where we're moving forward. You know, no longer sitting in the back saying, I'm just going to take the scraps, basically.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, so, hold on. Did someone answer? 1579. They probably Googling it right now.
Yes.
Oh, no. They don't have to answer it here. They have to send it to my inbox.
Yeah, they can do. So this inbox.
DM me those 2 answers. I don't want to make that the show. This is about you guys right now.
Yeah, no problem.
So I did have a question for Shawn.
What was your question you had, boss, for Shawn? You had a question for him?
Yes. My question to you, Shawn, if you had to say, I guess about 3, maybe just 1, figure that you have come across in history or teachings that you came across along the way that have made you into the man you are today, who would you give that honor to?
Yeah, that's a great question. I can tell you those two right off the bat. Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X.
Oh,
Done. Marcus
Done.
Garvey.
Mic
Nice.
drop.
Done.
Nice. So
Done.
can you let the audience know about it was Marcus?
Marcus
Marcus
Garvey.
Garvey.
Marcus
Marcus
Garvey.
Garvey
Yes.
and Malcolm X.
Marcus Garvey was a Pan-Africanist. He believed in us creating platforms and creating a community for ourselves. Early 1900s, he was one of the first to really start talking about what we can do as a community to help ourselves. His teachings influenced so many. This is pre-civil rights. This is like I said, early 1900s. He was in great debates with W.B. Du Bois and A. Philip Randolph and people who really looked at him. Pre-Booker T. Washington,
Yes.
Booker
he
T.
kind of stepped into the shoes of Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass is a precursor to him,
Yes.
and Marcus Garvey is right there. So Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X. And for
Yeah.
me, growing up in Detroit, Malcolm was a big influence. My dad kind of dabbled in the nation for a while, so I had that influence as a young child, and so again, just to understand kind of our progression in this country and some of the just the grit and the determination that it takes to just any gains that we make. It requires a certain level of grit and determination and wherewithal that others haven't had the experience in this country. And the words of Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X really resonate with me on how to really tap into that determination and to push through and push things forward. So
I love
Yep.
it. I love it.
Coming from the Caribbean, we learned
Yes.
about Marcus Garvey in school, but the other person we learned about was Haile Selassie.
Selassie, yep.
And so because of you can go all the way back prior to the different types of wars, European wars and whatnot, leading into Africa. You have people. There is a big debate on whether Shaka Zulu actually was a person. That type of stuff where the erasure of history has occurred. It has occurred. It's not that it's happening. It has happened. So one of the things that I think that's really important, with this platform, when I see perfume and people are going back to the fragrance, when I see fragrance and I see the legacies that are being created to ensure that, kind of like a cross colors doesn't happen. Cross colors was big back in the 80s and then nobody hears about it anymore. To continue the dialogue, continue talking about these brands, whether they're here, like Fashion Fair came back, just the constant dialogue. And we owe it. We owe it to our culture. We owe it it's not just African American. We owe it to the Black culture, the people of color's culture, to keep bringing up the history, to keep talking about the history, to keep talking about the artists, to keep talking about the creations, to keep talking about it, and to come together as a conglomerate and pool our resources together. And I think we owe it to each other to do so, or before long, we won't have any resources.
There we go. Mic drop.
Talia, your influences?
I'm sorry.
Say again?
Hakeem, your influences?
Oh, don't ask me that. Well, I'll say this first. Eric Thomas, motivational speaker, E.T. the hip hop preacher, has been a major influence in my life. I'm also a man of God, so I love the Lord. That's my number one inspiration. But I would say like Eric Thomas, man, he was almost like that kind of like distant father. He he fathered me, but he was like a father, and he was, man. Just shout out to E.T. the hip hop preacher. So for me, I would say that's like one of my inspirations, my motivation. Like he had.
I love it.
Yeah. So with that being said, thanks for hopping on, Trill.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and go into the giveaway portion. So thanks for jumping on, man.
Thank you, Trill. Send me a DM. I want to pick that fragrance up, man. Send me a DM, please.
Yes, sir. I got you. My closing was, I wanted to say there was one person that became the most influential to me whenever I decided to go into this and launch my LLC and have my own business and become fully independent as a Black man. And I ended up saving up money, getting my house, everything, started my life in order. There was no more crawling. It was John Merrick. He started the first black insurance company.
Mm.
He was a
Ah,
black man who started the very first black insurance company, because before that we had no life insurance. Our life was not worth anything.
Mm.
And the hurdles that he had to go through to make that happen made the reality of what I was about to face so much more realistic.
Mm.
I'll
That's
leave y'all
real.
with that. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm happy to have put some thought and some wisdom and gained some thought and some wisdom from this conversation.
Oh man, it's all good. Good to have
Thank
you,
you,
man.
Trill.
Thank you for
good to
joining
have you.
us.
Thank you,
Thank you.
bro.
You're
Appreciate you,
welcome.
man. Yes, sir.
All right. Yes, yes. So we're gonna be wrapping up soon. Thank you so much for your time, Shawn. But before we end this is the giveaway portion. So guys, the first question, and this is actually gonna be for a Taliaferro fragrance. First question is, and the first person to answer this, you basically win. What was the first fragrance that Shawn Crenshaw wore? What was the first fragrance? What was that first fragrance? We watch and we
See
watch
that's
and we watch. Oh,
oh
Oh,
man.
there's an
congratulations.
answer.
She got it. She got it.
You got it.
She got
Got
it.
it.
So let me mark that down. Hold up with Sweet Sensations. Thank you for answering. Make sure I hit you up. All right. Sweet Sensations 67. I got you. Okay, hold up. That's a long name right there. I'm trying to make sure I get all of it. Hold on. Thank everybody else for participating. Almost got it. Okay. All right. Next question. This is for a bottle of Ovation. A bottle of Ovation. And this is going to be a little hard. So, there were 3 people that Shawn Crenshaw mentioned that he would like to craft a custom fragrance for. Who are those 3 people?
Hopefully those people that heard me say that are still on the line, are still here. Mr. Cologne said he got this. Oh, he about to,
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Hold on.
uh-oh, let's see. Let's see.
Oh, Kimmy Grace. Oh, she got it. Kimmy Grace. So we got you. We'll be reaching out to
Kemi
you.
got it.
Kimmy got it.
Yeah.
Yo, she typed that.
Again, I don't have anything to write it with, but write that down for me.
Yeah, I got you covered, brother.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
I gotta make sure because hold up. There we go. Why am I adding that in there?
Yes, Stacy doesn't play. She's very quick.
Yo, that was fast. I love it. I love it. All right, cool. So
I
with
got
that
you. We
being
got a bottle
said,
coming.
you got some words of wisdom for us before we let you go, brother?
You know what? My words of wisdom are just, I just want to thank everyone that that stayed on with us here for over an hour. I really appreciate it. And I just want to, just let everyone know that if you have dreams and aspirations, or you're on your journey, don't give up. Don't give up. We can't afford for you to give up. Please don't give up. And that's in anything that you're doing in the ecosystem. If you are a reviewer, and I know you ask yourself, what new content am I going to create today? It's getting old. I'm getting tired of doing this. Don't give up. Don't give up. If you're a blogger, and I know you ask yourself, oh, I'm talking about the same old stuff, season after season. I'm doing the same. Don't give up. You're a YouTuber. Don't give up. Keep pushing, because what's going to get us there is the consistency and the foundation. Foundation building takes time, but it also takes passion. It takes consistency, and that's what you are doing. So don't give up, because I need you. I need you. If you give up, then I won't have a foundation. I won't have nothing. I won't have nobody to turn to say, hey, can you put this new fragrance? Can you put this new fragrance on your platform? I won't have nobody to turn to. I'm gonna have to go into an office begging. I'm gonna have to go into an office on my knees. I'm gonna have to go into an office with a pocket full of money. Listen, resources are limited, and we need each other, because you need content. And if I can put out fragrances, I'm gonna give you content. We're gonna have stories to tell. We're gonna do IGs like this so we can, have stories to tell of each other. So don't give up. Please don't give up. Please don't give up. Please don't give up. Keep going. Please. Please.
That's
Please.
very good advice.
I love it.
That's my advice. Don't give up.
Oh,
Keep going.
man. Blessings. I love it. I love it.
I love it.
I love it. Well, Shawn, it was such a pleasure to have you. I pray that this time we had together was a blessing to you and your business as well. I thank you for sharing your world with us and your insight, your story, the good and the bad. And You ain't had no ugly. Anything ugly about you?
We didn't get. Hey, look, we didn't have enough time to talk about the ugly. I can. Hey, ugly, but not enough time.
Too.
Not enough time.
It's
But,
all good.
but no, thank you. I appreciate you, Hakeem, man. I do, brother. I love you. Pam, I love you.
Brother.
You know, and let's use that more often. You know, let's let each other know I love you.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
You know, don't just say it just to be saying, no, brother, I love you. I love you, man. Pam, I love you. You know, and let's make sure that we keep that at the front of our tongue.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Because that is that's what's missing. That's what's missing. We want to, go scroll and troll each other's IGs to figure out what's wrong. Well, that ain't right and this ain't right. Stop that, people. Just stop it. Just stop it. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'll tell you that up front. So you don't have to try to go look for it. I'm telling you now, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so stop. No need to look for it. But what I am trying to do is I'm trying to go out here and create a brand that we can all be proud of. I'm trying to stand tall with other folks that are creating brands that I can be proud of, that we all can be proud of, because that's what's needed. So that's it. That's it.
Awesome.
And lastly, lastly, every man deserves.
There you go. That's the best way to end it right there. Pam, thank you so much for being available as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me
on this. And honestly, man, there's so much I could say, but I thank God for you. I thank you for being here with us. This is amazing. I'm about to leave on a high. I'm already feeling like that high right now. So, you guys have a blessed evening. And for everyone that's joined, thank you. I will be in touch with those who won the giveaway. Actually, DM me if you were the winner, and we'll take it from there.
Yep, and I'll make arrangements to get those bottles to the winner.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right.